Good evening, everyone. We are 2 days after Parashat Yitro, as the parasha described that we received the Torah in Mount Sinai, and by now it's 3,320 years from that day. And I will speak a little bit about the parasha, but before I start about the parasha, I want to speak about some of the laws of Taharat Mishpacha, which is the purity of the wife, which obviously applies to the entire family. This is one of the mitzvot, one of the commandments that have no luck. Some commandments have mazal, luck. Some commandments don't have luck. For instance, let me give you a few examples. Most secular Jews have mezuzot in their home, even though some of them declare they don't believe in the Torah, or they even say that they don't believe in God. But in every door in their house they have mezuzah. Strange, no? Why you spend so much money? It can be more than $1,000 if you have a big house. If you declare that you don't believe in it, that's one question. But most Jews, almost, I would say at least 90%, has mezuzot. Okay. Then Brit Milah, circumcision. It's a mitzvah with mazal, with luck. Almost every Jew in the world circumcises kids. Technically, all these people who declare that they don't believe in the Torah, they have to go to jail a second after the circumcision. Because if they don't believe in a book, they don't believe in God, how do they dare to cut a part from an 8 days old baby? Who gave them permission to cut a part from his body? This is a big crime. And technically, you see, first of all, it's very interesting because all over the world Jews are free to do it. The governments don't interfere. It's like you see that Hashem is protecting us with this mitzvah. And we have, even though in Russia it was very difficult to do it, Jews were risking their life to do it, but overall, in general, we see that this mitzvah has good mazal, good luck, that almost all Jews do it. Almost all Jews. I would say 98%, 99% of the Jews, those who don't know anything about Judaism, when they have a baby, they know he has to be circumcised in the 8th day, which is very interesting. However, the most important mitzvah for a Jewish family is this mitzvah. It's called Taharat Mishpacha. More than 75% of the Jewish people are not aware of this mitzvah at all. They have no idea what you're talking about. Speaking to them about Taharat Mishpacha is really like speaking Chinese to them. They have no idea what's going on. What? Taharat Mishpacha? What do you mean? What does it mean? They have no idea. Talk to them about kosher food. Everybody knows. Talk about Shabbat, everybody knows. You say Taharat Mishpacha, what? What are you saying? No understanding. Which really, it's very strange. This is a mitzvah that is the foundation of the Jewish home. The continuation of the Jewish nation depends on this mitzvah. Without it, there's nothing. It's the ground. Very interesting how this mitzvah was forgotten over the years. Let me give you first the basic rules, just for us to understand what it is. I know some of you already knows about it, but it's always good to understand it in the right way. What's the reason for this mitzvah? First of all, what's this mitzvah saying? Comes God in His Torah and say to the Jew, you and your wife has one law that applies to you from the moment that you get married for the rest of your life. You have to make sure that you are not permitted to touch your wife after she got her period. There's usually between 5 to 7 days that the woman's still bleeding. After those 7 days, once the woman checked to make sure that her body has no more blood, from that moment she has to keep 7 more clean days, because sometimes there's doubts, so there is an extra 7 days. And right after that she has to go, the Torah says, into a hole, that natural water gathered into the hole naturally, which means not that you filled up a bucket here and brought the water and spill it here. That's called mayim she'uvim. Water like this has no power. Spring water, it's perfect. Water from the ocean is perfect. Rainwater that comes through a certain path and goes into a hole, it's no problem. If, for instance, if you have a swimming pool in your backyard and somehow over the years it got full from rainwater, that's also fine. Every water that gather into a natural place, a hole, you can prepare the hole by yourself, artificially. You can make it, you can make a shape, doesn't matter, as long as it has 40 se'ah, it's a measurement of natural water who gather there by themselves, by itself. What does it mean, 40 se'ah? 5,760 eggs. 5,000, take 5,760 eggs, almost 6,000 eggs. Imagine that the eggs are full of water. How many eggs will fill up the mikveh? Why this amount? Because this is the amount of water that needed to cover a body of an average person. Anything else is extra, which means the rest of the water, obviously the mikveh has a lot more than that, right? Tens of thousands of eggs. Everything else can be added later artificially. You can add more water. Once you have the right amount of water gathered into that place, from this moment on, this water, it's hocus pocus, it's magic. They can remove a spiritual impurity from any person, from man, from woman. A man doesn't have an impurity of nida like a woman, but a woman that goes into this water and comes out, she becomes pure, not clean, pure. What's the difference between clean and pure? Many people make that mistake. The water can be black from dirt, completely black from dirt, but at the same time, they can remove the impurity. Why? Yes, the water got dirty over there, there's no other water. And what can you do? People get dirty, they sweat, they go in, it's disgusting, I'm not saying no, but at least they remove the impurity. Right after that, you can take a shower, it's no problem. However, it can be the cleanest water on earth, the cleanest, and they cannot remove any impurity. Why? Because this is water that you took a hose and you fill up the bath. This water has no power. Only natural water. That's why spring water, it's natural. It comes from the ground, and you have a river or a lake. That's no problem. Why Jewish ladies go today to the oceans or to the lakes? First of all, it's not modest, because she has to remove all her clothes. She cannot go into public places. It's not modest. It's not comfortable. Not always the weather is, it's warm enough or anything like that. But the main reasons for that is because when a woman goes into the mikveh, she needs a balanit. A balanit is a woman that is in charge of checking the woman before she goes into the water. What does it mean? Going into the water, if a woman has any separation between her and the water, even by one dot in her body, the impurity holds into that dry spot and doesn't leave the body. I'll give you an example. If a woman went into that water and one hair out of her body stayed out of the water, usually it's impossible because the air is going inside. Once it gets wet, it goes inside. It's not going to stand up. But let's assume that a woman has very hard hair, I don't know, with spray in it, and one hair, well, it's enough, one hair was staying out of the water, in the air, outside. Even though the entire body went in, the impurity holds to that hair. And once she comes out, it returns to the rest of the body. If she has a wound, some wounds is a problem. Why? Because this wound covers the skin and the water doesn't go under the wound. She has a ring and the ring is too tight. She goes in, the water don't go over there. So there are certain things. Also, when a woman brushes her hair, some hair always are falling loose. If she has on her back one hair, that, 100th of an inch, that to stay dry, made the impurity return to the rest of the body. She wasted her time going into the mikveh. She thinks she's pure, but she's not. That's why one of the rules that a woman has to brush her hair, to clean her ears, to clean everything. They're taking a shower before. It's a preparation for that. Just not to take any risk that a woman will end up in a mikveh and her husband thinks that she's pure and they're not. Now, why did God make such a rule? The main reason for that is, of course, every time somebody asks you why God made that rule, why did He make that rule, the answer really is, that's Retzon Hashem, that's the wish of Hashem. Nobody understands the divine logic, nobody understands divine knowledge. We don't have that ability. However, even though each mitzvah from the Torah have more than 3,000 reasons, and we, in a best scenario, sometimes we know 3 or 4 reasons in this generation, has thousands of reasons. Usually we understand the reason that apply to human logic. The Torah, what we learn today in yeshivot or in lectures or in the books, it's something that we are capable of understanding. There are many, many secrets that we have no understanding in it. There's no point of learning it because we're not going to understand it anyway. So we only teach what people can understand. Here it's very simple to understand the main reason. What's the main reason? The main reason is because Hashem wanted the man and the woman to get married and to live happily forever, as long as they're alive. The only way to do it is to overcome one very serious problem. What is the problem? The nature of the human being, the nature of the person is that every physical pleasure, the person that repeats it again and again and again, every time he is going to the same kind of pleasure, it's less and less. For instance, if a man just got married and is together with his wife, both of them, they enjoy each other physically 100% in the beginning. But after a month, it's only going to be 95%. Not because something is wrong by them. They are the same, they didn't gain weight, they didn't change their image, they're still the same nice people, they still care for you, everything is fine. But the nature of physics is that the more they're going to be together, every time will be a little bit less than the previous time. Until after a while, it gets to a situation, God forbid, that they don't want to be together anymore. And that's the main reason today why almost every marriage in a secular world and by the Goyim is completely a failure. Almost every marriage in the world is not successful. People are cheating, people are thinking about cheating, people are imagining things that they're not supposed to, for that main reason. Why? It's like eating an ice cream that you like, the same ice cream every day. After few weeks, you beg, please, please, not the same one. Please, I'm begging you. No, open your mouth. What do you mean no? Open. No! What happened? A month ago you ran after me. You wanted ice cream. Now I'm giving you ice cream you don't want? Of course I don't want. After 30 times I want to vomit. Very simple. The ice cream is the same one, same company. They didn't change the ingredients. The person is the same person. The mouth is the same mouth. Everything is the same. So what happened that after a month, he's crying when he sees the ice cream or the steak? This is the way God made us. What's the reason? Why He made us like this? For a very simple reason. He wanted to make sure that we always aware that this physical world is temporary. Don't fall in love with that too much. It's not the purpose of the creation. The place of pleasure is not here, as the Ramchal writes in his legendary book, Mesilat Yesharim, Path to the Just, what every Jew has to read at least 100 times in his lifetime to understand really the purpose of life and the secrets of God. It says clearly, the place of reward and the pleasure is not in this world. Where is it going to be? In the next life, which are eternal life. But this place is a preparation for eternal life. Therefore, since God put us here for a temporary period of time, He doesn't want us to focus on getting pleasure too much from this world. Don't get me wrong, it's not a sin to enjoy this world. Some of the mitzvot bringing pleasure. For instance, you have 3 meals on the Sabbath. And you have to eat meat and wine and good delicious food and dessert. No problem. God has no problem that you enjoy the mitzvot. Even though each meal it's a mitzvah, you enjoy from it. You enjoy in this life and you're getting paid for eternity. So it's very good. Double reward. Right? Some of the mitzvot don't have any pleasure. Don't have pleasure, physical pleasure. Putting tefillin on your hand doesn't make you enjoy a special flavor or beautiful image. No, it's a spiritual thing. It wasn't meant for pleasure. Putting talit on, it wasn't meant for pleasure. So we have to understand. even though the mitzvot, the purpose of giving us the mitzvot wasn't for us to enjoy from the mitzvot. Mitzvot lo le'ana'an nitnu. That's the reason we don't make Birkat Shehecheyanu on tefillin. Why we make on talit, brand new talit, we make Birkat Shehecheyanu. But tefillin, brand new, you don't make. Why? Because the mitzvot wasn't given for pleasure. Shehecheyanu, this blessing, it's only for pleasure that come every period of time, or that it's something that you do for the first time, ever. But talit, it's clothing. When you buy a new suit, you're very happy. When you buy a brand new, nice wool, shiny talit, beautiful white, nice, you smell the great smell that it's brand new, you enjoy from it. It brings you pleasure. Because of that, you make shehecheyanu. Food that you eat once a year, that it comes only once a year, you make shehecheyanu because it brings you pleasure. Tefillin doesn't bring pleasure. It wasn't meant for it. That's why we don't make shehecheyanu. Holidays bring pleasure. And they come once a year. That's why we say brachot on holidays. You understand the point? So that's it. Now this mitzvah, as I said, is the foundation of the Jewish home. Because if a man will be together with his wife constantly, non-stop, every day, every other day, eventually the marriage, a very serious part of the marriage will be destroyed. And obviously one thing leads to another. 6 months after the marriage, every little thing the wife does, the husband gets annoyed. He comes home, he sees one toy on the floor. Oof, what happened? These toys were here for 6 months. Why now it started to bother you? It's not the toy. He just can't stand there anymore. Because he feels that he locked in a room with her. It's like putting two enemies in jail. Now imagine you sit in the same room. I remember one time, about 12 years ago, I went to give a lecture in Great Neck by one Persian guy. Very nice guy, really sweetheart. Him and his wife, Persians that even spoke a little bit Hebrew, those couple. And this poor guy, he had a jewelry store in Manhattan. He was making a nice living. He had a house, even though in those days Great Neck wasn't so expensive 12 years ago. But still, it was in relation to other places, it was still a nice place to live in. So he had a house, he had a store, he has a wife, he had a few children. Everything looked fine. One time, in the middle of the day, robbers go into the store. Which robbers? FBI. FBI goes with their badges. They tell the customer, please leave the place immediately. They send all the customers out. They put a sign on the door. Nobody enter, authorities, whatever. And they say, you're under arrest for laundering money and for stolen goods. They made up some kind of charges. This poor naive, innocent guy doesn't know what's going on. He thinks that you sure you came to the right place? What do you mean laundering money? I'm just a little businessman here. They took all the jewelry, hundreds of thousands of dollars, all the jewelry, they put in bags, everything, and later, it was all over the news. Guess what? Corrupted cops. The cops robbed the poor guy, destroyed his life. But in the meantime, he went to jail. Who was he in jail in? Who? With John Gotti. Imach Shimo v'zichro. He's already in hell now. The head of the mafia. The head of the Italian mafia in New York. In the same room. He said the jail was nothing compared to this guy. You have no idea what punishment. I was 6 months with him in the same room. I couldn't sleep before him. Why? If I snore a little bit, he kills me. So make sure you never sleep before I fall asleep. Only after I fall asleep, you're allowed to fall asleep. You clean my clothes. You iron for me. You put the shoes here. You do this. He made him his slave. And he knows, one beep you make, they'll butcher your family. He can't play games with him. A monster walking on two. You understand? That's how bad he can become when you put two that hate each other in the same room. Sometimes husbands and wives can get to this situation. Why? This is the root of the problem. Of course, the husband's not going to tell his wife, I can't look at you anymore, you're not attractive to me, or she cannot tell him the same thing, so they live in a lie. What caused them to get to that situation is because they did not listen to the laws of the manufacturer of the world. Who made the woman? God. Who made the man? God. He wanted them to have pleasure being together. Even though it's meant for bringing kids and souls into this world, he could have made it very boring. The Gemara says, the only reason kids are born is for Yetzer Hara, because of the evil inclination. Without it, nobody will have kids. Who needs kids now? Raise them, change their diapers. You want to have fun with them, with the kids? You have no idea how much you're going to sweat for these kids yet. Crying for them, taking them, doing that. And then they become 15, 16s. They rule you. You can't talk next to them. Hey, Pa, where is the car key? Some kids call them their parents with their own name. Not Abba or Ima. Hey, Isaac, where is the car key? I hope you don't have plans tonight. You know? And everything you ask them, they always do the opposite. Problems. A lot of problems. So why people have kids? Most of the kids, if you check, is for different reasons. So the Gemara say it. And why Hashem did it like this? Because he knew people wouldn't want it. If it's no interest, what's the point? Who needs it? So half of the people in the world wouldn't be born. To maintain the creation, he made it interesting. Same thing, food. Food could have had the same taste. Everything tastes like nothing, like water. Water doesn't really have that much of a taste. Everything you eat has no taste. Imagine how boring life would be. At least we wouldn't be so heavy. Because you only eat when you're hungry. You know, in reality, your kids always come to you and they want the candy. I'm sure you're familiar with that. How does the kid start? I want a candy. You say, no, you had enough candy this week. Shabbat comes, you get a candy. No, I want it. No, please, I need it. All of a sudden it changed from I want it to I need it. But the parents don't pay attention. For them, I want it and I need it has the same meaning. Big difference. Why? As long as you say I want it, it means I have a desire and I want to fulfill my desire. Now he's changed the language. Now he needs it. I need it. Like you need water. If not, you die. You need food, any kind of food. If not, you die. Most people don't eat because they need it. It's because they want it. That's why there's so much overweight people and all kinds of diabetes and all kinds of other problems. It's all because of people stuff tons of food into the little stomach. They choke the stomach. There's so many sicknesses come from the food. All Chazal says all the sicknesses come from not eating properly. If a person would eat very little, first of all, one of the rules, one time I give a lecture about health according to the Torah. I have one already in my website. Is most of the sicknesses come when a person eats and he stuffed his stomach. Most of the sicknesses come from that. When a person eats, he has to make sure that his stomach is 2/3 full, never more than that. You have to leave some space for the stomach to shrink, to continue to, if you stuff it with food, the stomach is suffering. It creates problem, ulcer, problem in digestion, problem in exit, all kinds of things. The next thing, you cannot eat nuts. So many problems with stomachs that people have. It comes because of these desires. Every desire, we are paying the price big time. Everything. Drugs, food, money, all these desires destroying us. So really, if a person is strong to overcome his desires, he's a free man. He's not a slave of his desires. Somebody that needs cigarette, he's a slave of the cigarette. The cigarette detects his life. Once my father told me, make sure when you drive with your friends in a car, because I never smoked in my life. Not even one time. Not even to try how it is. You know, people are curious. Kids, how they start to smoke. Here, try one, try. Come on, be a man, try. My father was very careful. Since I was a kid, he said, make sure you never touch a cigarette in your whole life, and make sure you'll never have an earring. If one time I'll find you with an earring, I'll come in the middle of the night with scissor and I will cut your ear off. In the morning I will serve you the earring with your ear. Since I was a kid. Believe me, I never thought about it ever again. Or cigarettes. So you see the cigarettes? Look at me, I'm smoking, it's destroyed my life. This is my boss. I need a cigarette after the meal, I don't have, I have to walk in the freezing weather, 10 blocks, to look here, to look there. Big problems. Plus, with the money that I smoke all my life, I could have bought another apartment. And what about my coughing and my health problem? You know, right away I got the point. Okay, no problem. So he told me, make sure you never leave a pack of cigarettes, one of your friends, in your car when you go to places. Make sure. It's better sometimes to leave a wallet than not to leave a pack of cigarettes. I said, well, who cares about a pack of cigarettes? How much is that? 5 shekel? So you don't understand what is it a man that had a meal and he needs a cigarette and he goes out to look for it and he see it in a windshield. What do you think he's going to do? Half of them will break the window just for the cigarette. Maybe they'll throw you $100 for the glass, but they need a cigarette. In my life, I saw how much he was right. How much was desire sometimes is more valuable than anything for them. For money, for anything else. Desires. Sport is also a very strong desire. People kill for it. You should see how the kids run on the floor, they fall, they cry, let me watch, there's a game. Yesterday, it was the Super Bowl. I was sure I'm going to speak to an empty place. Baruch Hashem was packed. There was not one chair available. But I say to myself, I'm wasting my time driving 2 hours to Brooklyn. Who knows if I had a minyan. Baruch Hashem, most of the Bukharians are not so into sport. So I still have something to do sometimes. The only crazy one who give lectures every year in the Super Bowl. I heard, everybody in the United States didn't get out of his house last night. The highways were empty in the time of the game. This is Avodah Zarah, 100%. 100% idols worshipping. It comes from the culture of the Greeks. The Greeks worship the body. Everything is physical, nothing spiritual. There's nothing spiritual about sport, nothing. Only physical, 100% pleasure. Rabbi Eliezer ben David is the main Persian rabbi in the world. Rabbi Eliezer ben David, he once went to Argentina. He goes a lot to Argentina. And one of his visits to Argentina, he heard in the middle of the evening, huge noise. All the neighbors screaming. He looks from the window, people on the street screaming, running with flags. He asked the host, what's going on? He said probably it was the Mondial 1978, the soccer competition. And Argentina was hosting the games. And they scored some goal or something. So he made the entire country run in the streets with flags, screaming, jumping into the water. All this. So he says to him, we are the Jews. God gave us the Torah. We have it in our home. I don't remember once in my life that I felt like this goyim feel running on the street with happiness. Of course, it's all an illusion, this happiness. But how they run for that goal, how they scream for that goal, it's really embarrassing for us. We have eternity, and we never ran in the streets like this. Did you ever see a Jew screaming and crying from tears? Like all these people when their team is winning a game? If his team winning a game, look at the kids, how they cry from happiness for a week. If they lose, you cannot talk to your kids for 1 week. What's going on here? Avodah Zarah 100%. Okay, let's continue. So, yeah, you can come in. Yeah. So the reason for that is Hashem wanted us to have on and off, timeouts. If we don't have timeouts, everything that we will experience will be completely boring after a while. Therefore, since it stopped for 2 weeks, and it goes on for 2 weeks, and it stops for 2 weeks, and it continue, it can stay forever, even 1,000 years. The couple can stay married with no problem. Sometimes you see in religious neighborhood, husband and wife in their 60s already. They still walk together, mamash like newlyweds. What kept them for 40 years so happy? Only this mitzvah. There's no other way to explain it. Of course, people who are religious, they give more respect one to each other because they're also afraid of God. It's not only I'm afraid from her or she's afraid from me. We're afraid from a third party, which is much more important than both of us. I always say, when you go and do a partnership with another person, whether it's a Jew or Goy, before you check what it is. If he's a Jew, if he's Muslim, if he's Christian, if he's Hindu, if he worships Buddha, it doesn't matter right now. What's really more important is that is he afraid from someone or not? Even his idol, even the foolish idol that he made yesterday in a factory, and he put all his life saving to make Buddha beautiful eyes, whatever it is, just the fact that he's afraid of this stupid idol, it's already enough to make him a better partner in a business. Why? Because he's afraid from a third party, not to steal. Someone who has no God in his life is not afraid of anybody. He's not afraid of anybody. So this mitzvah of Taharat Mishpacha, since it's such an important mitzvah, the punishment for someone who doesn't keep it is the worst in the entire Torah. Only Mechalel Shabbat, murderers, people who worship idols receive the same punishments. This is in a worse category. No, even if a person steals millions of dollars, he's not going to get punished like a Jew that touched his wife one time in a time of her impurity. Remember what I said. If a person stole even Madoff, that made so many people miserable, so many homes are crushed, so many people are lost the reason to live because of him, even somebody like him is not considered as a criminal of a Jew that lives with his wife without a mikveh. It's a horrible sin. A Jew that have relation with his wife without going into the mikveh first after her impurity is worse than a Jew that sleeps with his mother. Worse crime in the eyes of God. You should know that. People don't know it. That's why this mitzvah has no luck, because nobody knows the details. The Torah says there is a list of sex crimes that we read on Yom Kippur, the holiest day of the year. It's not coincidence that this is the laning of the Torah. The reading falls on Yom Kippur. What is it? All the sex crimes of Parashat Acharei Mot. All the list. Should not, chas v'shalom, sleep with your mother, with your sister, with your grandmother, with your granddaughter, with your father's wife, stepmother. There's a list. No homosexuality is allowed. No chas v'shalom, making sins with animals. All the filthiest sex crimes that a person can think of are mentioned in one page. And guess what? When the Torah comes, when God comes to the Jews and say, or even to the Goyim, it applies to the Goyim also. Most of these sex crimes applies to the Gentiles also. The Torah says, you should not, chas v'shalom, sleep with your mother. The Torah just says you should not. Ervat imcha lo tegale. Ervat imcha, don't come to an intimate situation with your mother. She's your mother, you're not allowed. When the Torah mentioned all the sex crimes, it used the same language. Do not do this. Do not do this. Do not do that. That's it. When it comes to your wife, my wife, she's legal to me, it's no problem. This is the language of the Torah. The Torah changed the language. Hashem, God, changed His words. There's a reason for it. Everything is in one way, and all of a sudden it changed. What is the word? And it says, Ve'el isha benidat tum'ata lo tikrav legalot ervata. Translation. And to a woman, when she is impure, in purity, in nida, that means before she went into the mikveh, don't even get close to her, that maybe you will ended up having relation with her. The Torah added an extra warning. Everywhere else, it doesn't say don't get close to her. Right? Your aunt, you're not allowed to touch her. The Torah didn't say don't get close to her too much, that maybe you ended up with a sin. No, you can get close to her. Just make sure you cannot do anything with her. All of a sudden, your own wife, don't even get close to her. What does it mean, don't even get close to her? Don't eat from the same plate. Don't sleep in the same bed. Don't use the same towel after the shower. When one of you take a shower, the other one should not come in. There's rules. This is what it means. Don't even get close to her. Or don't get too close to her face. You start to kiss her or something. You ended up making the worst sins in history. If the Jews would know what they're doing every time they touch their wife, even those faithful ones, which is hard to find them, but even those faithful ones that think, look at me, I'm a man of one woman, I never cheated, if they only knew every time they are together What are they going to pay for it? They'll kill themselves out of misery for what they are waiting for. That's why it's time to wake up the people. People are living in illusion. This is one of the worst sins in the entire Torah. I'll tell you what happened in Israel. Many years ago there was a trial of a guy, 20 years old. He went on the street and he saw an old woman going with a gold chain. Gold chain. He wanted to steal the gold chain from her. So you know, an old woman, she walks barely walking in the street. What can she do when a 20 years, strong guy comes and pulls the chain? Right away, it should rip off from her neck. Unfortunately, this gold chain was thick. He thought that usually when he steals it, as soon as he pulls, it gets ripped. This one was thick, it wasn't getting ripped. He pulled and pulled and pulled, and he pulled her to the floor. She fell on her face and she died. From the fear, from the situation, she died. People ran after him, they caught him, they brought him to justice, and in the middle of the trial, the first trial date, the mother of the murderer sitting in a court in Israel, the judge comes, he takes the file, he says, the state of Israel against Ploni, the name of that guy. For the murder of, he said the name of the woman that just killed the old woman. As soon as he said the name of the woman, the mother of the murderer screamed in a court and fell on the floor, fainted. Right away the trial stopped. They bring her water, drink. So after she went back to normal, the judge asked her, ma'am, I don't understand. We didn't even start the trial. We didn't do anything. What happened? He screamed and he fainted right away. Is there anything you want to tell us? So yeah, I want to tell you something amazing. What? She said, you see me, look at me, I'm a religious woman, right? My son is not religious, as you can see. Look what he's doing. But I want to tell you a story that happened to me 20 years ago. She tells the judge, in front of everybody, famous case in Israel. She said 20 years ago, it was Friday afternoon. My husband is a very angry man, very demanding, not a pleasant person so much to deal with. He started to tell me on Friday afternoon, you have to go to the mikveh. Spring water, we are Jews, we are religious. We go, when a woman, she explained the judge. The judge is secular, he doesn't know all these rules. So she told him, it was my day to go to the mikveh. Now it's Erev Shabbat, it's Shabbat. So he wanted me to take the car and go, then I return, I walk. But at least to get there like this, I get there on time. So I told him, yes, so 5 more minutes, 5 more minutes, 5 more minutes, and he kept saying, you're going to be late, you're going to be late. He waited for me 2 weeks until I'll be available for him. And just when I finished to put my chalot and my food, everything, in the right place, right away I went into the mikveh. By the time I got there, the woman that was in charge of the mikveh was locking the door. So I told her, well, are you leaving already? She said, yeah, what's the problem? You come back tomorrow night. You wait another night. What can I do? I also have my Shabbat, my family. So I told her, please, I'm begging you, open. She said, what do you mean? It's going to be another 20 minutes now until you can go in, until I brush you, until all this. I'm not going to be able to do it. She said, I'm begging you, please. My husband's going to kill me. Please let me in. What do you want from me? Why you come in the last minute? It's not fair. She has a point. So she said, I'm sorry, come back tomorrow. No, what is she going to do? Shabbat started already. She knew she cannot make it with the car, so she walked home. So when she comes home, she has to tell her husband, Tavalti, I went to the mikveh. So he asked her right away, no, you made it? She said, yes. What should she do? She was afraid from him. That's why the Torah said that a husband should never be too strict with his family members. Not only that they will hate him and fear from him, and will basically create such problems in the future that even he will regret because of him that these things happen, So that night, she said, my husband and I were together, and I became pregnant. And this boy, as you can see, he was born. He was born when I wasn't pure. It's called Yaldei Nida, kids of Nida, of impurity. It's not mamzer. It's not an illegitimate boy of a married woman who cheated on her husband that is isolated from the community and he can only marry another mamzer, which is a big problem for the kids, but as an impurity problem, and that's all. And God brings a soul that you don't want. Believe me, you would want a different soul. It's very important because when the woman conceives, that moment Hashem has to choose which soul He put into that body. And there are souls of good people and there are souls of wicked people. And which one's going to come to you, it depends who you are in the night of getting conceived. It's not a joke. You can determine your eternity. What do you think? You have a chas v'shalom, a boy like another Hitler, and grandchildren who Hashem Yerachem, you suffer forever just for one stupid mistake. 10 minutes of pleasure, you suffer hundreds of years. You can be in hell already and continue to suffer from this. People are not understanding what they are doing. So she says to him, this boy was born, see? Mechalel Shabbat, a thief, a robber, and now a murderer. So the judge is shocked. Everybody is shocked. But the judge asked her, but I don't understand. Why you didn't faint before? Why when I started to read the name of the woman who died, you fainted? She said, that's the whole point. Do you know who is this woman that he killed? This is the woman that 20 years ago didn't let me go into the mikveh. This is how she is 20 years after. That's her. You understand why I fainted? Even the judge couldn't say a word. 20 years later, for millions of people, where did Hashem send that animal? To the women who are responsible for him being an animal. Measure for measure. Yesh din veyesh dayan. Everything is like this in the end. Wouldn't be him, would be son. That's how it is. This is just one out of many examples. So many other examples like this. This mitzvah, it's fire. Nobody plays with fire if he's smart. That's why the Torah say to your wife when she's impure, don't even get close to her. Chas v'shalom, maybe you touch her, the next thing you kiss her, the next thing you hug her, the next thing you're going to have. Isur karet. What does it mean karet? What comes right after? The Torah says after all the sex crimes, what's the bottom line in the Torah? And those who will commit these crimes will be put to death by stoning or by burning, depend which one. And I will cut that soul out of the next life, out of eternity. Karet. V'nichreta an-nefesh, I am cutting him from the Jewish nation. Has nothing to do with me, God says. For who? For a nice Israeli or American Jew that is very nice and pleasant person and could be even Shomer Shabbat sometimes. What he sinned, Rabbi? What did he do? Look, he was such a good husband. For touching his wife in this situation. The Gemara says that one woman came to a big Rav in the Gemara, I don't remember right now his name, and she said, how is it possible that my husband died so young? He was keeping mitzvot, he was learning Torah, he was such a tzaddik. Where is the justice? She asked the rabbis. In a court, in a Beis Din. The rabbi asked her, tell me, did your husband do this? She said, no. Did he do that? No. Did he do this? No. Then they asked her, tell me, when you were impure, did your husband were with you together, close to you? She said, yeah, but he never did the actual sin. You know, we were just together, yes. He said, Baruch Hashem that took him, they told her. Bless God that he kept his promise. Justice is justice. Don't come to complain. Every person who makes sins has the nerve later to come and complain. I have one guy, he was in New York, he made money, he went to Vegas, he lost all his money, now he's trying to go, he went to LA now, he's looking what to do in his life, looking to get married. No. I know this guy for years. He came to me a few years ago. Now, all of a sudden, he became a big fan of my lecture. He watched every night at least one lecture. 100%. Not only he watch, he calls. He's shivering. Wow. He give me all the compliments you can think of. And he became Shomer Shabbat. Now he become more serious. So he told me a week ago we spoke. These words is pounding in my ears. He says to me, that's it, I'm already in my 40s. I gotta get married. He's a nice looking guy, also friendly, he has a lot of good things about him. He says, it's about time I'm gonna do something with my life. I have to meet a religious girl, Shomer Shabbat. Now I'm seriously Shomer Shabbat. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I'm getting better now. It's time for me to say. So I say to him, if you're finally making tshuva, make it real this time. Not like a few years ago, you did it on and off. He said, no, don't get me wrong. Everything I got from God, all the things that I lost, all the suffering that I'm going through, I'm 100% guilty. I deserve everything, he say. I don't even ever thought I don't deserve this. Believe me, I accept full responsibility. How many people speaks like this? Most people, where is the justice? How much more God's want from me? What do you mean what? Open the book and see what you do every day. And then you see if you have the nerve to complain. And the Torah, by the way, says that Hashem already says, Hineni mishpat otach, I'm going to judge you, al omrech lo chatati. All your suffering will come not only for the sin. The sin is one part of the punishment. What are you going to get bigger punishment? For the nerve that you say, I'm clean, Rabbi. Ani tzaddik. I'm a tzaddik, Rabbi. I have people in my lectures once in a while. Not anymore, recently not anymore. But it used to be very common that while I'm speaking and reading things from the Torah, then all of a sudden one guy gets up. What is this? Ani tzaddik. I am righteous. I don't do this, I don't do that, I don't steal, I don't hurt anybody. So I say to him, first of all, there's a rule. Someone who gets up in front of everyone and says, Ani tzaddik, I am righteous, for sure is wicked. Why? How do I know? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he is a tzaddik. First problem, ego. Pride. An humble person can stand in front of 50 people or 100 people and say, I am righteous? The biggest rabbis in the history never said the word Ani tzaddik. Never. Moshe Rabbeinu ever say on himself that he's a tzaddik? Who? Show me one legendary name that say Ani tzaddik. David HaMelech, read Tehillim. Chatati, I'm sorry, help me to get close to you, help me to correct. This guy doesn't keep one mitzvah a year. Ani tzaddik. The more fool the people are, the more illusions they have in their head. I say there are many Jews who think I have VIP in the next life. I wonder where God's going to put me. On the first row or on the stage? I'm still not sure. These people, based on their expectations, are going to have big disappointment. Major disappointment. The less you expect, the less disappointed you get, right? If you have no expectation, you're going to get married, you don't even know your father-in-law is a millionaire. He's very humbled. He pretends he's poor. He's afraid from the IRS. So he drives a lousy car, he has a lousy house, water leaking in the middle of the living room. Pretends it's nothing. He takes a bus sometimes. What do you expect from such a father-in-law? All of a sudden, you get married, you got $1,000 one time. Wow! If you only knew he has $100 million in all his accounts, you would throw the $1,000 back to his face. But you kidding me? But now when you see the poor guy has a leak, and he drives a lousy car, $1,000 is very good. No? That's how life is. The more expectation you develop, the more you suffer. One guy, he got a phone call from the Shadchan. You know what Shadchan is? A matchmaking. Shadchan in Hebrew, it's 4 letters. Shin, Daled, Chaf, Nun. Rashi Tevot, abbreviation. Sheker dover, kesef notel. Lies tell, money takes. Okay, fine. No. Sometimes you find shadchanim that are kosher. They're not exaggerated, But this shadchan wasn't like that. It was a real professional crook. So he called that guy, Itzik, I have a great shidduch for you. What? A girl, 22 years old, beautiful, from a very important family. And Her father is a millionaire. You're going to sit all your life and learn Torah. You won't ever have to worry about working. You can focus on being a big rabbi. You have great children. They take care of everything. Great life. Rabbi, no, hurry up. What are you waiting for? Then he goes on a date. What's going on here? Call up the Shadchan. He say, what are you saying? You told me that she's beautiful. Didn't you see that she cross-eyed? I wasn't sure if she's looking at me or the waiter the whole night. So the Shadchan said, okay, what's the big deal? What's the big deal? But she's still, she's willing to take you. She saw your picture, look. She's still interested. I spoke to him. But her father is a millionaire. Okay, the next date, he found out that she's limping. Calls him up, he's furious. What are you, liar? What's going on here? It's a big deal. 2 big problems. But just think about the house you're going to live in and the car, and you never have to worry about the power. You can be a big Talmid Chacham, so what's the problem? As they go on, in the night of the wedding, he comes to him and says, hey, I saw another problem now. You didn't tell me about this. He said, don't worry, you can scream. She also doesn't hear. Finally, they finished. He said, don't worry, you're already here in the chuppah. What are you going to do? You're going to run away? What are you going to do? You're going to run away? You have to get married. Come on, don't embarrass the family, everyone. So, okay, what can I do? Kasher avati. As I lost. Then he comes home. The next morning, he sits with his legs on the table like this. Open up the big newspaper. 11 o'clock. She comes. She said, well, she comes out of the room. What are you doing here? Don't you have work? So what work? Your father is going to pay for everything, no? So what do you mean? My father is a bus driver. He said, what do you mean bus driver? He's not a billionaire? What billionaire? You know how much money your people, they want to kill him. He called up the Shadchan. He said, what? He said, hey, listen, we discussed everything. Only one thing we didn't discuss. That she crossed eye, we discussed, right? You knew that. You knew she's deaf. You knew she's this. You knew she's limping. You knew all that. So big deal. One thing you didn't know. You understand? This is the problem with the shidduchim today. Like Chazal say, if a man married a woman for her father money, for sure won't have success with his kids. Think again if it's worth it to have a nice car and a nice house and to have criminal kids or kids that don't want to open a book. Chas v'shalom. Why? But, if the parents are generous and they're offering her, not that he's making condition, if you give me such and such, I'll marry your daughter. If you don't give me, I'll cancel the shidduch. I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to, like some guys do. If they're offering and whatever they give, you say thank you, no problem, then it's going to be blessing in it. But if they make condition, they blackmail the parents, the family, just because he knows a little bit how to learn, no success will be for this guy. He won't enjoy this. And that's why many people don't know. If you only know a little bit, you think 1,000,000 times before you get into this. Right now, in the beginning, everything is nice. Later on, it's not so simple. Okay, so just to conclude that part, because time is running out, at least I cover it good this time, because usually I speak about it 2 minutes, 5 minutes, and it's always stay opened. Anybody you know, you have to do everything you can to prevent them from making that sins with their wives. It's so bad, you're not going to believe what I'm going to tell you right now, that it's not permitted to make peace between husbands and wife knowing they're not keeping impurity. Not permitted to make peace. Even though the Mishnah say, אלה מצוות, שאדם אוכל מפירותיהם בעולם הזה, והקרן קיימת לו לעולם הבא. Those are the mitzvot that a person can eat from the fruit, from the profit of this mitzvot, from the reward in this life. But the main reward is waiting for him to the next life. What are they? There's a list. Waking up people to the synagogue in the morning, making peace between 2 Jewish friends. There's a list of things. And what's one of the things? Making a peace between husbands and wives. A person goes and makes peace between husband and wife that had a fight. She went back to her parent. He gets her back. He gets everything back on normal. It's a very big thing. In one condition, that they keep Taharat Mishpacha, the laws of impurity. If they don't keep Shabbat, it's still mitzvah to make peace. Why? What's the difference? They will not keep Shabbat here and there. By her father, she also doesn't keep. So let her not keep with her husband. What's the difference? She's going to violate Shabbat whether she's here, whether they separated, whether they divorced. She continues to make the sins. It's not my problem. But putting them together, you are the reason. From this moment on, for every time they make that sin, you are a partner to the crime. Don't ever make peace between two people that refuse to keep Taharat Mishpacha. But if they are not keeping, and they come to you for help, or you offering them help, you have to make a solid condition. Only if you swear to me that after I put you back with your wife, or I put you back with your husband, this mitzvah you must keep. If you don't want to commit, I am not allowed to help you. Even if the family is broken. Why? I cannot go against God. I'm sorry.
Well, what if he swears falsely?
That's not your problem anymore. If they committed to do it, then there was a chance.
I didn't swear on that.
No, you don't have to swear holding the Torah. As soon as he give you his promise that the wife is going to go to the mikveh and they keep the laws, in order for you to make peace, then you're allowed to make. But if not. But it's so bad, there is one guy in jail, and they were raising money for him, and they came to the biggest rabbi in the world. I don't want to say his name right now, but trust me, one of the biggest three in the world. And they asked him if they are allowed to release him from jail. In case you didn't know, when a Jew is in jail or is captured by the Goyim, there is a huge mitzvah to release him. It's called Pidyon Shvuim. It's such an important mitzvah that if you have one Sefer Torah in the entire town, I don't know, it's somewhere in Russia, the entire village has one Sefer Torah. That's it. And there's not enough money to release him. If you don't have enough, let's say the Goyim wants $50,000, I don't know, $100,000. You don't have it. You're allowed to sell it to a different synagogue, to a different Jew from a different town, with the money of the Sefer Torah to redeem him from prison. What's going to happen with us, the community? We will not have Sefer Torah left. How are we going to read every day, Monday, Thursday, Shabbat, Yom Kippur? Don't worry about it. You are dismissed until you get a new Sefer Torah. Why? Because to release a Jew from prison is a big mitzvah. So they ask one big chacham, the Jew that we are about to release, he's not keeping Taharat Mishpacha. He's secular, him and his wife. They're not keeping. They also don't want to keep. We spoke to them. They don't want to keep. So please, don't force your religion on us. Your religion. It's like they dismiss from that, right? So he told them it's not allowed to release him. Let him keep him there for the rest of his life. For his own good. Not as revenge. No, don't get the wrong message here. Because we love him. Keep him in prison for the rest of his life. When he dies, he won't ever stop thanking you for saving him from that sin. Don't worry. Now he's going to get angry when he's going to see how many miseries and suffering you avoided from him. He'll never stop being appreciative to you. Same thing. Sometimes you look at the people that they want life. They want long life. If they are not Shomer Shabbos, why they want long life? Why? I know one rabbi that everybody comes to him for a bracha and his blessings are magics. They work. He say only in condition that you must become a Shomer Shabbat. If not, I cannot give you bracha. So Rabbi, why? Why are you forcing it? It's not fair. I want the bracha. What? I'll donate money. What's the problem? No, I don't want your money. You only get the bracha from me if you promise me you become Shomer Shabbat. So one time I asked him, you're so strict like this, you don't want to even give them a bracha? He said, no. Why should I give them bracha to have long life? To make them more miserable? If they're willing to keep Shabbat, it's worth it for them. They enter Judaism finally. They have a share to the world to come. If they don't have a share to the world to come. What's the point? To live here more Shabbatot? You know how many sins every Shabbat is? What's the point that they live another 10 years? I'm hurting them. I'm not helping them. See, last thing for tonight, as I said before, the parasha yesterday, 2 days ago, was Parashat Yitro. Yitro was the Pope of that generation. Pop. He was the master of Avodah Zarah, all the idols, all the ways of worshipping all kinds of foolish gods. And then when he saw that the Jews came out of Egypt, and all the miracles that happened in Egypt to the Jews, and they went through and the Egyptians drowned, and then he saw that the Jews received the Torah in Har Sinai with such miracles, the whole world was shocked. Right away he dumped all his idols, and he told his people in Midian, it's the country called Midian, that's it, I retired, I'm not doing any of that. He left his country and he walked towards Moshe Rabbeinu. Later he gave him his wife Tzipora to be his wife. The secret according to Kabbalah that Yitro is the reincarnation of Cain, and Moshe is reincarnation of Hevel, and Cain murdered Hevel because Hevel was born with 2 twins, and Cain was born with 1 twin. And Cain was very angry, he was jealous that he had only 1 female when his brother had 2. And that's one of the reasons that they got into a fight, and he killed him. So Hashem says to them after that, you made the first murder in the creation, and because of a woman, when you be reincarnated in a new body, your way to correct your sin will be to get murdered and to give a female back to Hevel. So I'm going to turn you into Yitro, and he's going to become Moshe, because he was righteous, he got killed, he was innocent, he didn't deserve to die. So now I'm going to make him Moshe, and you will give him a girl, Tzipora. And by giving him the girl, you're going to erase one part of the sin, because you fought over a girl. However, how are you going to get killed? A part of your soul, I'm going to put in another body. Who was that body? The Egyptian that killed the Jew. As the Torah said, and Moshe went and he saw an Egyptian beating up a Jew. So that Egyptian that was beating up the Jew, Moshe killed him by saying the name of Hashem, the special name of Hashem, Shem HaMeforash. He killed him and buried him. And now, Hevel paid back to Cain for what he owed him. As far as killing him back, when it was a mitzvah to kill him, not a sin, because he was killing a Jew. So, the sin was erased. This was the correction, and this is, by the way, will teach us about many of the things that happen to us, and we don't understand why. Don't kill yourself too much. It could be for something you did 700 years ago.
How did Moshe know about the...
Moshe didn't know. He doesn't need to know. Hashem doesn't tell us about our previous life. If we knew why we are reincarnated in another life, for what sins, most of us will kill ourselves right away. For instance, if a guy knew when he was 14 that he was a humanizer, and he had 3 or 4 wives, was beating them up, he was a very, very bad husband, and God told him, your punishment, I'm reincarnating you in a new body, and you die single. All your life you go on a date, none of these dates will mature to marriage. You get full aggravation, frustration, and one day, I don't know, you'll be 70 and you died lonely, without kids, without anything. If he knew it when he's 14, what do you think would happen? Most likely he'll kill himself. Or he would lose the reason to live. He will be depressed completely. He doesn't want to do anything, he doesn't want to get up from bed. He won't have the energy to handle his tikkun, his test. Now when we live with expectation, we live with hopes. That's what keeps us going. If we know that we are a finished case, we're only going to have to suffer here, most people wouldn't want to function. That's why God is hiding from us the previous sins and also the good things that we did. Why? Not to make us take things for granted and say, I'm okay, I'm a Gilgul of Moshe Rabbeinu. What do I have to bother? I used to be Moshe. No, you don't know what you did bad, you don't know what you did. Believe me, when God designed the life like this, that means there was no other way which is better. No possibilities that could have been better than what it is. Even though many of the things is very strange, we don't understand. If it could have been better, for sure Hashem will make it better. Don't worry about it. The way it is, it's the ideal creation. One last thing from the parasha. Yitro comes to Moshe after Yom Kippur. Moshe was in a mountain 120 days. 40, 40, and 40, all together. He came down on Yom Kippur. This is what Hashem told him, Salachti kidvarecha, I forgive the sin of the golden calf. He went down Yom Kippur, the Torah says, ויהי ממחרת היום, and the next day, וישב משה לשפוט את העם. Moshe sat and started to make trials. Jews coming, he owed me money, I lent him money, he didn't return it, we made a deal, he didn't pay me my commission, you know. Regular court cases. Yitro comes to Moshe and says, what's going on? You want to kill yourself? How can you judge this entire nation, one judge? You have to nominate judges. So what did he say to him? ואתה תחזה אנשי חיל, heroes, great people, righteous, לא שונא בצע, don't have desire for money, to steal, greed. Clean people that can become judges. What does it mean, ואתה תחזה? Rashi say, ברוח הקודש. There's no way. If you don't know them, how are you going to know? Looking at their face, there is the wisdom. The entire life of a person you can see by reading his face, his forehead, his eyes. You can look at the eyes of a person and see if he's a murderer. You can see this forehead and know his spiritual situation 100%. We do not know it because we are not pure. Somebody that is holy, pure, and watch his eyes, and is holy from Torah, and as soon as he see people's face, right away know who he is. In my eyes, I saw cases like this. I once went to Lakewood. I was filming. I went with one rabbi that took his son to put tefillin by Rav Nathan Vochtfelgel, Zecher Tzadik Livracha. I was the mashgiach, the supervisor of the biggest yeshiva in America, Lakewood, in Lakewood, New Jersey. I was filming. I was standing outside. That rabbi told me, I'm going in with my son. I don't want the rabbi there to get disturbed from the camera. They don't like, people who come and film or take pictures. Stay as far as you can. Don't attract attention. And film that he puts the tefillin on. He was 105 years old, something like that. Very old man. So after, all of a sudden he looked at me. This was almost 15 years ago. I was in the beginning of my way. I don't remember if I even gave one lecture at that time. Maybe it was right in the beginning. He looked at me and he said to another rabbi, Ashkenazi, there in Yiddish. He points at me and he started to talk to him. I got nervous. I thought maybe he doesn't like that I film. He wants maybe to erase it. I didn't know what they're talking about. I don't understand. I'm waiting. As soon as it's finished, they come out. I see that this rabbi comes to me. He says to me, I said, what, he's upset that I was filming? He said, no, he didn't care about this. I said, well, he said that you're going to influence many Jews. He sees on you. He asked me, who are you? I wasn't even inside the room. Standing outside. I said, really? I was 15 years in the beginning. Oh no, maybe I get 5 lectures by then. Nothing. He saw right away, Ruach HaKodesh, this holy man, if you know who I'm talking about. I can tell you stories about these people. You're always going to have a doubt. He's exaggerating. The only way to know that this is the way it is to see them one day in your life. One day. To see them, then you understand everything. If you don't see, it's hard. One picture equal like 1,000 words. It's enough. 1 hour you see them in one scenario, then you understand what I'm talking about. We don't find people like this. So Yitro comes to Moshe and say, make judges that are in charge of 1,000, or in charge of 100, in charge of tens, groups. Judges under you. And you will be the main judge. You'll take the big cases. ואת הדבר הגדול יביאו אליך. Don't judge with $1,000 cases. It's not for your honor. Later, the Torah says that Moshe did something else, not what Yitro told him. He listened to his advice, nominating judges by looking at their faces with the Ruach HaKodesh, who deserves to be a judge. But when he shared the cases to the judges, he didn't share it the way the Goy told him. No. The important things, the difficult thing, הדבר הקשה, Moshe took, regardless if it's a big case or a small case. And the easy cases that you don't have to worry so much, it's all obvious, you know who owe money to after 5 minutes, he gave it to the beginners, to the judges. What's the difference between the Jews and the non-Jews? In America and in every country in the world, when you go to court, they see who sue who for how much. If it's Reuven sue Shimon for $3,000, $7,000, right away it's a regular court. Any judge, even if he's 3 months a judge. He can handle that case. Well, who cares? $7,000. No big deal. If it's $700 million, right away they give it to the best judge, 40 years experience. Big shot. Why? 700 million. It's Microsoft against Google. Hey, the best judge in America right away. Sometimes it could be a $700 million lawsuit. In 5 minutes you see who's right. It's a very easy case. Right away. If they prove their case, the case is over after 5 minutes really. Sometimes it's only $1,000 case. You need 3 months of investigations and questions and the witnesses and reschedule. Why? You don't know who's right. What, you're just going to give $7,000 to somebody just out of your feelings? Moshe didn't take the big cases, the complicated cases. Because the Torah is justice. Whether it's 1,000, whether it's 1,000,000, it doesn't matter. Justice. The Torah didn't say that you can, the opposite. The Torah says if a rich and a poor come to court, the rich is a greedy man, he's a millionaire. And the poor guy owe him money, he didn't pay rent for a month or two. Right away, the judge feel bad for the poor, no? What? This guy has $10 million, he's worried about $1,000 rent. Let him go another month or two until he find another place. What does the Torah say? Never favor the poor against the rich. Or the rich against the poor. No. Each one of them, you have to look at them like two monkeys are standing here. No difference. That's it. No, I don't know you, I don't know you, I don't care that you dress like this, you dress like this, you are from this family, nothing. Two people equal. And you listen to all the details, and that's why the court, the Beis Din, is searching for justice. I wish that in this generation it will be the case. Today, but unfortunately, people are people. Even in court, sometimes it's not 100% clean. Because people are people, and sometimes there's an important rabbi come to court against a puppet that nobody knows. Right away, the entire city is going to the favor of that famous rabbi. But the heroes, the real judges, those are the one who always search for the truth. Bezrat Hashem, we finish for tonight. I covered the Taharat Mishpacha.